Hey YouTube friends and family, welcome back to Whispering Willow Farm. It's already a pretty sticky morning. I'm outside in the zinnia patch though because I have a customer that comes every Tuesday and Friday and picks up zinnias from our farm, and so I'm out here this morning harvesting some from her. We're actually going to be going out of town. Wasn't really expecting to go out of town. I was, but wasn't. So we had a Whispering Willow retreat planned in Waco, Texas, where we were just going. I was going with our marketer, just casting vision for our farm and direction and just things. And we're super excited about it. And then I got a phone call from Drew, who is our marketer, saying that her dad was crushed by a tractor. He has been in ICU for days, surgery after surgery. And so when we tried to cancel that trip, I couldn't get any refund because it was too late. So Nathan and I decided, let's make a quick trip to Waco and just hang out with the kids because I don't want to waste all that money. So you guys be praying for Drew. Her dad's name is David. He's almost 70 years old. I don't know all of the details of how he was crushed by the tractor, but I'm assuming he fell off, like something happened. And so he has been in a hospital in Mississippi for days, having literally surgery after surgery. He's got a lot of internal bleeding. So you guys just be praying for complete healing and just peace over Drew and her family as they are navigating this really difficult season right now. So I'm trying to get all these chores done before we go out of town. The main chore being harvesting zinnias and finish canning. So my mother-in-law is headed over today. We've got so much canning going on, so I'm going to kind of be outside earlier this morning, and then I'm going to have you guys hang out with us in the kitchen. But I wanted to show you something, and that is how to know when your zinnias are ready to harvest. So there's something called the wiggle test, and I can't ever say it and not just like bust out laughing because it's so funny to me, but it is really, really crucial, because if you don't perform the wiggle test, or you can't look at your zinnias and know when they're ready to harvest, then their stems are going to break super easily and you're going to have to toss them. And if we're selling those, each stem is $. So I really need to make sure that my zinnias are ready, and then when they go to make arrangements too, that I don't have to worry about the stem breaking because I harvested them premature. So I'm going to take the camera off the tripod and show you guys how to perform the wiggle test. Alright, so what you want to do when you're performing the wiggle test is go about halfway down the stem. What you're going to do is just take your fingers and shake. And if you notice that the top is pretty stiff, which it is when I give it a good shake, the top is stiff, then this zinnia is actually ready to harvest. Now I could find probably one of these younger zinnias over here and perform the same test, and you see how when I shake it, the whole top super floppy? That means it's not ready, because this is all super hollow, and if I were to harvest it right now, this is going to crack. When I go to strip the leaves, it's going to break, and then I'm going to have wasted that. So if it's stiff, then it's good. Like even this one, that was the wrong one. So see how that's like, that's even kind of a bit stiff. Let's try this one. That one's definitely ready. This one's definitely not. This little zinnias all over the place, but how pretty are these? So pretty simple to perform this test, but that is a tried and true way to know if your zinnias are ready to harvest. But I have got Carrie, which is with Falabella, who we supply to. She's going to be here in about 20 minutes, and I have got 10 bunches of zinnias I need to harvest pretty quickly. So let's get ready. Alright, so we do our bundles in 15. I go through, I strip the leaves off. This is one part that's really important to know when to harvest zinnias, because if you harvest them prematurely, then their stems are super hollow, and you go to strip, they'll just crack. And then that stinks because I gotta toss them, so kind of important. One thing I love about zinnia is it is a cut and come again. So even if we have a week where we're not selling, for instance, we'll still go through and deadhead all of our plants, which means we're just cutting them anyways. So either cutting them and putting them in our table, or we're just cutting them and tossing them. And I know that sounds sad and it sounds cruel, but you guys, we have blooms like so much all summer that it's really not that big of a deal. But if you don't cut them, then they will quit producing. So it is important, like even in our pollinator patches, I leave a lot and they're very hands off, but I will go through every once in a while, just cut a bunch. That way they keep producing, because you want to make sure that you get the most out of that plant. And that is one of the benefits of growing the zinnias, is that you can plant it one time and literally have blooms off of it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so I just want to utilize all of that. I don't want to add more work to me than I have to by planting another succession. So this will probably be our last round zinnias that we plant out here for this year, and then we'll kind of take a break and regroup. I might plant some out here for the fall, but definitely won't do the zinnias in a large way again until next summer. You guys can see I am just stripping them, and then I'm kind of just gathering them all to where their length is the same. So I'm bunching all of the flower heads together like this, so that when I cut the stems, they're all generally the same length. You like to aim for 12 to 18 inches is kind of standard, especially if you're trying to sell your zinnias. That's more than likely what your consumer is going to require your stem length be. But I've found even, 12 to 18 inches, if you're just putting them in a mason jar in the house, is way too big. But I'd rather start off having more stem length and can take from it than cutting too short, because you can't ever add back on. So those are things that we just try to learn over time. Alright, so now that I have them all kind of grouped here, which there's 15 here, move that around some, make sure they're all equal. Then I'm going to go through, got my pruners here, and just snip the ends, make sure that they're all right. And then that's still super, super tall. And then I got my band it up, pop it in some water. I'm gonna hurry up and get this done so we can go inside in the AC and start canning some tomatoes. Alright, we got 9 bunches. We've got the salmon. This is the Queen's Lime Red series. Hey.
We got you.
This is the giant purple. We've got the Envy. More of the Queen's Lime Red series. So lots of pretty blooms. I've just got these sitting here until the shade, until she comes and picks them up. But check it out.
How much water do you want to do?
Is that a yes or a no? Alright, we made our way into the kitchen. Nathan's mom is here, teaching us all the tricks of the trade. So we had already started it wrong. She came in and we were like dicing up tomatoes. She's like, oh, wait a second. Y'all, it's been so long since I've made and canned tomatoes like this. But I did want, if she won't hop in here, I'll have Nathan tell you guys, the way she makes salsa is so different. And it was like passed down, Polly, right? This is how your mom did it? Yeah, so passed down. So the way I've always made salsa is we made refrigerator salsa. So we made a whole bunch and we just store it in the fridge and eat it. And it lasts a pretty long time. But we don't have fridge space right now. We harvested all those carrots, all those beets. We have an entire refrigerator outside just to like cold storage crops. So really we needed something that was shelf stable. And so do you want to kind of explain what we're doing and the way your mom makes it?
So, from my understanding, we are, essentially all we're doing is making canned tomatoes, right?
Yeah.
We're just canning tomatoes, and then when we get ready to make our salsa, correct me if I'm wrong, Mom, but we add the jalapenos, the garlic, the cilantro, all that stuff after you break the seal on the canned tomatoes. So you're making it essentially fresh every time using the canned tomatoes.
Which I actually really prefer, because then it's super, super versatile. We can still use our diced tomatoes for chilies, for soups, for stews, but then take it and make fresh salsa. So, I mean, we have peppers growing until November. So the idea, like, we don't grow cilantro anyway, so we'd have to be sourcing that out. We've got all of our onions we haven't harvested yet. We've got our garlic here that we just harvested the other day. So really, there's going to be very little that we're like when we're not going to be able to eat this and just go out in the tunnel and grab all the ingredients. So we're going to kind of show you guys. A lot of this is going to be time lapse while we're in the kitchen working. I may be doing some voiceover stuff, but happy to show you guys how we're doing it.
Oh, we got some stuff,
All right, so we have our cans in here sterilizing. We've got tomatoes in here. We're going to boil them and then pop them in cold water so that the skin just slips right off.
Watch out, June. This is hot water.
Come with Mama. Hot water.
Just sit it in there like that?
Just sit it
Or
in
just
there.
dump them?
No, you can, well, yeah, you can dump them so that you can do some more. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
And now I need a knife.
After we have boiled our tomatoes and popped it in the ice water, we are just removing the skin. We're actually going to pit it. So we're just taking the core out like you can see here and then dicing it up into these fine little pieces. We are going to make some fresh salsa coming up, but a lot of this we will just can. The diced tomato recipe was super simple. We diced up all the tomatoes, we added in a teaspoon of salt to the top of them, popped them in a water bath canner for 30 minutes, and pulled them out. Now I am just writing the dates on them. It was so simple to do. Really didn't take a lot of time at all when we had all hands on deck. For the fresh salsa, we added some cilantro, we added the minced up garlic, we had a zest of a lime, and I want to say that was it. We did have some Mrs. Wage's salsa seasoning, so all different sorts of seasonings in there, some taco seasoning we even added, but again, we'll just be making that fresh with some onions and just other things we have on hand. But overall, it was a very great, successful day. Definitely recommend having a team of people. It made it seem much faster. Hey everybody, I am back home. Nathan and I took a quick little break and went and worked out. Now I have got some red lentil curry cooking on the stove and some rice, but I did want to kind of wrap up this vlog, show you guys what we ended up canning and having. So Nathan's mom, my mother-in-law, was here, and this was really kind of her recipe, how she's always done it. And so I was just kind of like helping as needed. That looked like dicing tomatoes or sterilizing jars. And so she really loved just coming and helping us. So I don't have a specific recipe, but as you guys saw through the time lapse of this whole video, you can kind of get an idea of what we did. We did water bath can these. I've always pressure canned, but she said that that wasn't necessary with the tomatoes. And so what we're actually going to do, like Nathan had mentioned, is these are just diced tomatoes, which is great because they're super versatile. But we did have some fresh salsa too, so that's going to be nice just to be able to whip that up. Nathan and I have been eating it as kind of a little appetizer here. We ended up canning 17 jars of the diced tomatoes. This was all of the cherry tomatoes, and then the big slicers, and then she wanted to make us some of her pickles, so these are actually just going to go on the shelf, and then when we get ready we'll pop them in the fridge and eat them. So that's also quite a bit different than how we've done it, so it's nice to learn a new skill. We always do like refrigerated everything, and now in the last year or so we've really emphasized on ferments. And so that's nice to just have shelf-stable stuff. And so this is really just kind of the beginning. That was really our first big wave of tomatoes. We plan on doing this several more times. and just stock in the pantry. How do you feel after today?
After the CrossFit workout or after canning?
After canning, you guys. So we used to be avid CrossFitters when we lived in Greenbrier. There's an amazing CrossFit gym there, and they became like family, and they still are like family. But when we moved, we quit going to that gym because of the distance. And Nathan and I just had conversation, just like really missing that community a lot. So I drug his old tail out there today, and
yeah, I'm like.
But how'd it feel? It felt good to move your body.
It felt really good. I'm going to be really sore tomorrow.
Yeah, it felt so good after being in the kitchen all day and just going and sweating and getting all that energy out. It was nice. But I was talking about the canning. How do you feel about everything we put up today?
I mean, I think it's great.
Yeah.
It's a great start. To be honest with you, that'll probably last us a year, maybe.
Yeah.
If we turn all of that into salsa, then no.
Yeah.
So I think we need another round of that.
For sure. And we still have all of our paste tomatoes still that have to be planted and preserved. And that will be tomato sauce, tomato paste, ketchup. You guys, it's so hard to find the clean ketchup that doesn't have sugar. So we prefer to make our own. So definitely want to make a lot of ketchup for the kiddos. But yeah, we did it. I'm not gonna lie though, shout out to my mother-in-law, Polly. If you're watching this video, you're the real MVP. We could not have done the day without you.
That is true.
Nathan and I just kind of took direction, and really she just came in here and did her thing. So I told you guys in the last vlog, you need a team of people. It makes it so much better. Even though I didn't feel like I was super helpful, at least she had somebody to talk to, I guess. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I hope you have a beautiful weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.